Hello everybody, it's Foo here, and today I want to talk to you all about the Black Horse Pokemon Spectrier, one of the two ponies you have to choose between in the Crown Tundra DLC, the other being Glastrier. Spectrier is super strong and super fast, so in the singles format it takes out Pokemon with ease and easily snowballs with its amazing Grim-Neigh ability, giving it special attack boosts when it KOs a Pokemon. However, in doubles this is not so much the case because it is a bit of a glass cannon. It's got a very low defense stat, and in doubles you're much more likely to take an attack because you can't KO both of the opponent's Pokemon. This means that Glastrier is generally a more consistent and stronger pick because it's so bulky and can take super effective hits with ease. However, I think there's a secret to using Spectrier with a lot of success, even in the doubles format. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to sell you Spectrier and convince you to use it whichever format you want to play. Before we get into some battles, please consider leaving a like on this video and subscribe for more Metagross one-hit KOs. So in this first battle that I want to show you and demonstrate Spectrier to you, and this set that I think is the best way to use Spectrier, my opponent's going to use a Blacephalon and a Colossal, which is a really cool combo that we're seeing used quite popularly at the moment. So what this combo is a Choice Scarf Blacephalon that's super fast and really hard to stop it going for a Mind Blown. It's very powerful fire type move that hits everything, does a ton of damage, but also will activate Colossal's steam engine ability, so it becomes very, very fast. I lead with Regieleki and my Spectrier because I've got a plan to try to defeat this team. I've kind of got an idea of this strategy already, so I kind of knew what I was going into this battle to try to take on, and which is definitely an advantage. So you see that we both use our Dynamax on the first turn. I've got my Spectrier, they've got their Colossal, which is a very bulky Pokemon. What I'm going to do is go for an Electro Web with Regieleki because I even outspeed a Choice Scarf Blacephalon, which is great because that allows me to do some damage, but more importantly reduce its speed, so that despite it having the Choice Scarf, which boosts its speed, my Spectrier is still able to outspeed it, take out the Blacephalon before it can go for a Mind Blown, which saves my team a lot of damage, but also prevents the Colossal from getting the Steam Engine activation, making it very fast. And also, I get the Grim-Neigh activation. So Spectrier has now become insanely powerful, and it's still going to be the fastest thing on the field because the Colossal did not get the Steam Engine. And you see there that the Max Volcalith did a good amount of damage to my Spectrier, but I actually run a bulky Spectrier, and I think this is the most important thing to note with Spectrier. I think it has to have some bulk investment. I've seen a lot of people using with Focus Sash. In doubles, that's not great. It doesn't really combo very well with its Grim-Neigh ability because you want to snowball, but in order to snowball you have to survive multiple turns, and that's not going to happen if you're going to rely on a Focus Sash as your only bulk. So I can take that Volcalith really well. You see the Urshifu come in and it's threatening with a Sucker Punch. I actually guard and switch in my Rillaboom this turn, and that's because I have the Grassy Seed on my Spectrier. This boosts its defense stats. So I've already got some HP and defense EVs, but with the Grassy Seed I boost my defense even further, making my Spectrier very bulky but still really fast. And this means that the following turn, Sucker Punch probably won't KO, so the Urshifu would have to go for a Wicked Blow, which would crit my Spectrier on the next turn to ignore my defense boost. But what's great is that I've paired it up with Rillaboom that has the Grassy Glide, which is a priority move. So if the Urshifu doesn't go for Sucker Punch, I'm going to outspeed and take it out, which is exactly what happens. They were trying to Wicked Blow KO my Spectrier, but because Rillaboom has the Grassy Glide, I'm able to take that out. And another really important thing is that Spectrier has ground type coverage, which allows it to have max Quake. This is actually really good coverage with the ghost type moves. They're a very good combo and you hit a lot of things for very good damage. It also gives a way of boosting your special defense. So I think that that's really great coverage for Spectrier and something that a lot of people don't see coming. I get another Grim-Neigh boost there, and the Volcalith damage isn't doing too much, but I am going to lose my Dynamax here, which is important to note. Now, I think it's really important to say, a lot of people are saying Spectrier is basically just a worse Dragapult because it's not quite as fast, and Dragapult does a lot of things better. But that max Quake coverage is really important because it does mean that Spectrier can do some things that the Dragapult can't, such as KO Incineroar. Now, my opponent forfeits there. They only had their Rillaboom left, and I had like all of my Pokemon, so it's kind of understandable. And yeah, that was a really quick match, just showing you Spectrier shutting down a relatively popular strategy at the moment. And you definitely got to see how Spectrier has the capacity to snowball, because I had +2 special attack just from the Grim Neigh boosts. I also had the defense boost from the Grassy Seed, as well as Max Quake special defense boost. So it was becoming bulkier, it was becoming more powerful, and that's how this Spectrier set can really snowball and be very potent. I also like the pairing up with Rillaboom, because though Spectrier's Max Phantasm doesn't benefit it so much because it gets defense drops on the opponent and it's hitting on the special defense side, pairing up with Rillaboom, that's a physical attacker, and it definitely can take advantage of those defense boosts, which is really cool. But that's not the only way that you can run this bulky Spectrier, so I want to show you another battle with a slightly different mode. In this battle, my opponent's going to lead with Garchomp and Crobat, which are both new Pokemon in the Crown Tundra. They weren't in the game before, which is really cool to see. I mean, Crobat's very good because it has inner focus, so it can't be flinched. It's very fast, and it can set up Tailwind, so I think those are all really big selling points for Crobat. And then Garchomp is just an extremely strong attacker that we've seen in multiple VGC formats previously. But you see here, I've got Tapu Koko setting up the electric terrain, and this time I've got the electric seed to boost my defense, which is really neat. I'm actually going to switch out Tapu Koko into my Incineroar, because on this team I've got Incineroar, which has Intimidate, and pairing up the defense boost from the electric seed and the Intimidate from Incineroar allows my Spectrier to be super bulky straight away. And so my opponent is going to Dynamax Garchomp, which is extremely scary, especially considering that I'm not going to Dynamax my Spectrier. The Crobat's actually going to go for a taunt into the Tapu Koko. Not exactly sure what it was expecting there, maybe some screens, which is actually the set that I am running, but it allows me to get the Nasty Plot off with my Spectrier. Now, the Garchomp is going to go for a Max Quake into the Spectrier slot, and it's Life Orb, but it does less than half damage, which is crazy. This Pokemon has base 60 defense, which is very low, but that Max Quake does less than half. It's just mental. So that was really good. The reason I went for Nasty Plot was because I knew that Max Quakes would be coming out, and so I needed to get some special attack boosts before the Garchomp got way too much special defense. Now, this following turn, I am going to Dynamax my horse, because I do need to have that extra bulk from the Dynamax health, especially now that I've got the special attack boost. You see here, the Crobat actually goes for Screech and misses, which is a real shame for my opponent, but that's why you don't see Screech used too much. Fake Tears you see a lot, because it's 100% accurate. Screech can miss, and it's not very reliable. Even if it had hit though, I would survive this Max Quake, because we saw that last turn Max Quake did less than half of my health. So even with the Screech, that Max Quake would not have knocked me out. And so I did a massive amount of damage to the Garchomp this turn, and on the following turn I've got a pretty safe play, because I can Max Guard on the Garchomp's final turn of Dynamax, as they actually choose to Max Guard too, which is interesting. The Crobat's now going to go for a Tailwind, and I can actually match that Tailwind with my Suicune, and that allows my Spectrier to then outspeed the Garchomp on the following turn. I was very worried about an attack coming out from the Crobat this turn. If they had hit that first Screech, then a Brave Bird would definitely have taken me out this following turn, and my Spectrier doesn't have max speed. It's only got enough speed to outspeed base 111s, which is Thundurus and Tornadus, because they're very prevalent at the moment. So that Crobat would always outspeed me. Interestingly, the opponent switches out their Garchomp into their Togekiss. Maybe they thought that they would be able to take this hit, but I am at +2 special attack. This is a Max Phantasm. It's going to just one hit KO that Togekiss. Presumably it was more defensive or maybe faster, but I'm able to take that out with ease. And yeah, we're in a pretty good position here. The only thing that I'm slightly concerned about is that they still do have that Garchomp in the back. So that's slightly worrying. But now I'm at +3 special attack. I'm going to go for a Protect here, because I'm really worried about the Crobat going for an attack, but it's just not doing that. It's going for Screeches, which is interesting. They do actually hit one here and reduce Suicune's defense stats, which is, I mean, they've got a special Seismitoad, so it's not too worrying at this stage, but presumably they're trying to set up for like a late game Garchomp sweep with Earthquake at this stage. That's what I'm kind of predicting. I'm just going to go for some Snarls into the Seismitoad. I want to reduce its special attack, just in case it does get a hit in. But this following turn, I'm going to try to attack with my Spectrier. If they don't attack with Crobat, then this should be fine. They actually go for a Screech into my Spectrier, which I find slightly strange because at this stage in the game, without my Dynamax, I definitely would have been going down to an Earthquake from the Life Orb Garchomp. But I just go for the Shadow Ball into the Seismitoad, and I'm able to take that out and get another Grimnay boost. At this point, I'm at like +4 special attack. So I would be OHKOing anything, which is really great. The Crobat has loads of special defense boosts, but I would still be taking that out. Now the Tailwind peters out though, and I'm worried that the Crobat can just go for another Tailwind and then the Garchomp goes for some Earthquakes. So what I'm going to do is switch in my Incineroar here, because I should be able to take an Earthquake, especially seeing as though it will be at -1 attack after the Intimidate. And my Suicune I want to protect because I'm concerned now with the defense drops from Screech. I'm worried that the Earthquake from the Garchomp will be doing a lot of damage. So the Earthquake does come out, and we can see how much damage this is actually going to do to the Incineroar, and it does over half, which is kind of scary. That's quite a lot of damage, but it does give me Fake Out the following turn. So I'm just getting a little bit more chip damage on the Garchomp. It's potentially in range of 2 Life Orb hits, which is really important to note. Unfortunately though, the Crobat goes for a Taunt into my Suicune, so I can't match the Tailwind. That's what I was hoping to do. If I got that Tailwind off, then my Spectrier just won the rest of the battle. But that Taunt was really great by the Crobat. It meant that Spectrier is not going to be able to outspeed the Garchomp in Tailwind. So at this stage, I think it's more important to conserve my Incineroar for another Intimidate, another Fake Out. I can then more easily take out the Garchomp. At -4 defense after 2 Screeches, Suicune still manages to live that attack from Garchomp, which I did not expect. It did dodge a Screech earlier in the match, so that could have been actually quite pivotal. If they had hit that previous Screech, then Suicune would have gone down. But because I had Fake Out in the back with my Incineroar, I feel like this game was pretty safe, especially seeing as though the Garchomp would have gone down to another Life Orb hit as well. So now I bring in my Tapu Koko, and this is going to be the end of the game really, because though the Crobat is able to take out my Suicune with a Cross Poison, so they do finally reveal their attacking move, and it kind of explains why they weren't going for it before. Spectrier resists Cross Poison and it's not particularly powerful in the first place. I'm able to take out the Crobat with the Thunderbolt and win the game. So that was a really cool one. I thought that it was nice because it showcases some of the support Pokemon that I do run alongside the Spectrier set. So I run the Suicune and the Spectrier together because Suicune provides really nice Tailwind support. And again, it's also got the Inner Focus ability, so it can't be faked out and it can always get that Tailwind up, which is really nice. It's very bulky and it helps with matchups against certain special attackers like Moltres because you can snarl them and reduce their special attack. Tapu Koko is also a really cool combo with Spectrier because it has good roll compression. It sets up that electric terrain to allow Spectrier to get that defense boost from the electric seed, but it also provides reflect and light screen support. So it's got all of these ways to make Spectrier super bulky, and that allows it to get those nasty plots up really early in the match, and then you can sweep through pretty easily. So that I think is a really fun way to play Spectrier. So this next battle that I want to show you, it's basically because the opponent's team is so heat, but I wanted to show you how I tried to take it on with my Spectrier team. So let's get into this one. My opponent's going to lead with Dugtrio and Arcanine. They had a really unconventional team, and it was only at this point when they had set their Pokemon out and I didn't see Arcanine's Intimidate that it twigged, oh yeah, Dugtrio gets beat up, and I'm about to see a justified beat up Arcanine with Dugtrio, which will give it +4 attack in one turn. That's super scary. Also, Dugtrio is a really cool pick at the moment because it has the Arena Trap ability, which basically means I can't switch. And with Regieleki is everywhere at the moment, you basically trap it in and can take it out. So I think Dugtrio is a super interesting pick. Fortunately, because Regieleki is so quick, I can get the Reflect up, and I hope that my Suicune can then get some damage in on these opponents, or potentially set up a Tailwind, because that would allow me to, like, for sure outspeed both of the opponents and bring in whatever next to try to do some damage. But we're going to see here, you know, the beat up's going off, and I realized a little bit too late that this was going to happen. But hopefully Suicune can take a hit. They do actually have the max lightning though, which is going to be super effective. And I didn't expect this, but it does just take out my Suicune. Suicune is a super bulky Pokemon, and that is pretty scary. I was now very worried that like none of my Pokemon would survive a hit from this Arcanine. So what I have to do is basically hope and pin all my hopes and everything on Dynamax Spectrier behind a Reflect being able to survive a hit. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to Dynamax my Spectrier. If I can't take this hit, then it's probably GG at this stage, but I can only hope that maybe with my HP and defense investment, I can take at least one hit from this Arcanine and get a really powerful attack off into it. So I'm going to, unfortunately the Dugtrio has Ally Switch. This is going to scupper everything because obviously I was trying to target the Arcanine with as much damage as possible. I go for an Electro Web, which will do some damage to the Arcanine and it will reduce its speed, which is very important. I was thinking maybe the Dugtrio had like Bulldoze, which would reduce everything's speed, but yeah, and maybe like protect the Arcanine Bulldoze. That would be a way of getting some speed control, but that didn't happen. All that happens is I get damage off on the Dugtrio and basically not very much damage on the Arcanine. Fortunately though, I can survive a hit from the Arcanine, which was actually quite comfortable. I didn't expect it to do that little. Even if they had had Crunch, I think I would have survived that too. Max Darkness probably wouldn't have KO'd. So that was really nice to see. Now I'm going to go for a Max Guard and go for another Electro Web. Basically, I'm trying to waste the last turn of Dynamax on the Arcanine and then hopefully deal with it next turn. You see that the Dugtrio has high horsepower, just trying to do a bit more damage, but they missed the Regieleki, and that's pretty nice for me. I'm not sure if it would have KO'd because Regieleki is behind the Reflect and Dugtrio isn't the most powerful, although it is pretty strong. They go for another Ally Switch, and what I'm going to do here is actually Volt Switch. I Volt Switched into the Dugtrio slot though, and so I caught that Ally Switch that time, which is always so satisfying when you catch that Ally Switch. If they hadn't Ally Switch, obviously that wouldn't have done anything, but that was an important play to make because it basically guaranteed that I would take down the Arcanine that turn, because if they didn't Ally Switch, my Volt Switch wouldn't have gone off. But I was targeting the Arcanine with my Max Phantasm here. But they do Ally Switch, so I take out the Arcanine with the Volt Switch, and I can then take out the Dugtrio with a Max Phantasm. I get to bring in my Rillaboom, get to set up the grassy terrain, and I get a defense boost. I also get a Grim Neigh boost. So now things aren't looking too bad. I've got +1 defense and special defense and +1 special attack. I do run out of my Dynamax this turn though, as they bring in their Urshifu. I think I run out of Dynamax this turn. And they also have Maractus, which is something that I don't see. Now, I wasn't sure if it was going to be Chlorophyll Maractus because they just set up the sun, or maybe more likely Storm Drain because they lead with Dugtrio and Arcanine. Right now I go for a Grassy Glide. I do actually outspeed the Urshifu, and with +1, the Shadow Ball, even though it's resisted, is able to take out the Urshifu, which I slightly wasn't expecting. I maybe should have known my Spectrier calcs a bit better, but that was great because I get another Grim Neigh boost, and I get to watch my Rillaboom get destroyed by a Weather Ball from this Maractus, which is pretty funny. But I have a +2 Spectrier right here, and I've got defense and special defense boost, which is pretty great, as I bring in my last Pokemon, which is Regieleki, and I can go for a light screen here, hoping that my horse can survive an attack, because I think that was a bit more productive than going for like a resisted electric type hit into the Maractus. And I am able to take out the Maractus there with a crit. I don't really think the crit mattered at all, and we'd already seen the focus. No, we hadn't already seen the Focus Sash. I assumed it would have been on the Dugtrio, but I don't actually think we took it down to its Focus Sash. So anyway, that was the match. So it escalated pretty quickly at the beginning with the justified Arcanine, but thankfully, because of my HP and defense investment with my Spectrier and because of the Reflect, I was able to survive a +4 Max Flare into my Dynamax Spectrier, which was so great. And then it just had enough power at the end to take out the Urshifu, which is fantastic. So again, I can't recommend bulky Spectrier enough. Please try it out. I think it's basically the only way to run it. Now, there's one more way that I think you can run this bulky Spectrier rather than having either of the seeds to boost its defensive stats. I want to show you this last battle because it's just very fun and basically a more offensive take to the team. So in this battle, my opponent's going to lead with Xerneas and Jirachi because this one is on the casual ladder. I kind of like casual because you get to see the nicknames and such, and you get fun battles like this. So my opponent's going to lead, with Xerneas and Jirachi. Sometimes you get the feeling that people don't really know what they're doing and they just want to use the strongest Pokemon to try and beat people. But we see quite quickly here that I think the opponent does know what they're doing. First off though, the strategy with this team, with the Sableye, is to Shadow Sneak for my weakness policy. That gives me +2 special attack straight away, which is great. But we see here they have a Choice Scarf Jirachi with Iron Head. It has a Serene Grace ability, so they know they're trying to get flinches. But that's not going to help them here because my +2 Max Phantasm is able to one-hit KO their Xerneas, which is great. I did have contingency in case they got a Geomancy up because I could then quash it the following turn with my Sableye. That makes it move last and I could finish it off with my Spectrier. But yeah, they've got the Choice Scarf flinching Jirachi. They know what they're doing. They're basically just playing some disgusting strategies right now. As they bring in the Rayquaza, I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it. Very scary Pokemon, very strong on the physical side, so that does scare my Spectrier considering I don't have one of the seeds. I've got the weakness policy this time. I decided to burn the Jirachi, so it's really not so much of a problem. It's Choice Scarfed into Iron Head, so it's not going to be doing much damage at all. And you can see here, my Sableye takes very little damage. I'm going to go for a Max Phantasm into the Rayquaza. I need to do as much damage as possible, and that is a lot. After the Grim Neigh last turn, I'm at +3 special attack, and that almost takes out the Rayquaza. Not quite. Do get a defense drop though, which is helpful. And they go for the Max Airstream. I was kind of expecting this. I do take it just about. Again, having that HP and defense investment is vital because it allows me to survive hits like this. I think without it, I would have fainted already, basically. So that's really, really important. The Jirachi's hurt by its burn, that's fine. I can now quash the Rayquaza this turn because I know I can survive a hit from the burned Jirachi, which is fantastic. And it allows me to follow up with my Haunts and take it out with the Max Phantasm. That's going to give me another Grim Neigh special attack boost, which is so good. And it also means that the Jirachi is now at -3 defense. So whatever I have in the back, I've got the Sableye with Shadow Sneak. It's got no attack investment at all, but at this stage, that's probably going to be doing damage to the Jirachi. So I'm looking pretty safe now, depending on what their last Pokemon is. Turns out it's a Palkia. So can we go 3 for 3 on box art legendaries with my Spectrier? One can only hope. So I'm going to lose my Dynamax this turn, and I'm worried that obviously the Choice Scarf Iron Head's coming out. I think I might be able to take one, maybe not though. I'm going to quash the Jirachi, and that will hopefully allow me to take out the Palkia, but obviously Palkia protected, so that's not going to be the case. But yeah, I'm at really, really low health, so this Iron Head's probably going to KO. But it doesn't, because of this amazing HP and defense EV spread. Oh my god, I survive, and I'm able to quash the Jirachi this turn, make it move last, and I can take out the Palkia with a Shadow Ball. And that is 3 for 3 on box art legendaries with my Spectrier. Unfortunately, obviously, I've only postponed the Jirachi's move, so it's going to attack at the end of this turn. I get to +5 special attack this battle, which is so cool. But yeah, unfortunately, Spectrier is going to go down at the end of this turn. And Jirachi's, it's not really looking like a threat because I've still got my Quash Sableye, so it can't flinch anything, which is great. I'm just going to bring in my Tapu Koko here, set up the Electric Surge, and go for a Thunderbolt into the Jirachi while I can quash it with my Sableye. I mean, crush looks appropriate in terms of the animation, but yeah, that's the end of the battle because they forfeit. And I thought that one was a fun one to end on because you get to see some nicknames and you get to see Spectrier just decimate some of the strongest Pokemon in the entire game. So basically, I can't advocate bulky Spectrier enough. It gives you opportunities to set up nasty plots. it allows you to survive things that you obviously wouldn't usually be able to survive, so that you can then start to snowball with your Grimnays. I think this Pokemon is very strong. Obviously in singles, it's even stronger because if you KO the thing you're facing, then they can't attack you, and so the fact that you're frail, it doesn't matter. But in doubles, it does have a lot of potential too. Let me know in the comment section which horse you picked. But that's going to be all from me today. I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.